Hey there. Hope you guys are doing well. I feel a little, it's weird. I feel a little out of practice because it's been so long since my last video. But I don't want this video to devolve into just talking about that like it seems I do every single time I make a video at this point. But yeah, we're just going to make sounds. This is going to be just a classic ramble sound assortment. I hope you enjoy. I've got some new items here. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you would have seen I have some pieces of wood. One of them I cut up into a bunch of little pieces. I did this for a different reason. But then I was like, you know what? I might be able to use some of these for ASMR because they kind of make cool sounds. And they're kind of like popsicle sticks, I guess, in a way. But they're a little bit thicker than popsicle sticks. They're a little bit smoother. It's like a different wood, technically. So they might make slightly different sounds than popsicle sticks, but it's pretty similar to popsicle sticks. You could just call these homemade popsicle sticks. My nails are not very long right now, so unfortunately I can't make the best nail tapping sounds. I don't know if you can hear that. You probably can. That's just fingertip tapping. It's not the loudest sound though on this particular item. But yeah, we've got those. I forgot to do it in the last video, which was like 3 weeks ago. But I've got the birds here. Because I brought out the wooden man in like 2 videos ago, I think. And he's a classic old trigger. Well, I don't know how classic he is because he didn't appear in too many videos. But I brought him back and I mentioned how he had been in the older videos. And someone in the comments was like, you should have brought back the birds too because they're classic, very classic. And they haven't been in videos in a while. I forgot to do that in the last video, but here they are. Here's one of them anyway. All 4 of them are behind me. We've got, this one's Lyric, and this one is Gale. So we've got Gale. This could be the first time you're seeing this, because honestly, since the last time I showed these, I've gained a lot of subscribers. I honestly don't remember the last time I showed these, so I'm not sure. But could very well be the first time you're seeing these birds. But they're pretty cool birds. Anyway, this one's Gale. This one is Lyric. So that's Lyric and Gale. Lyric came a little bit later. So the original 2, let me put these down for a second so that I can do this a little bit better. I kind of need to rearrange some stuff on this table. Okay. Let's get the other 2. So this one is Nippy, and this one is Gale. These were the 2 OG birds. These, back when I started doing named ASMR, which was like the first like legitimate ASMR videos I started doing, those videos still do not have very many views. In fact, I think most of those videos are my least performing videos on my channel, which is kind of weird because I've got a lot of like old like music videos from like years ago that have more views somehow than those videos. But yeah, I think if you sort by popular, those are pretty near the bottom, the named ones. But in pretty much all of those videos, I had these birds and I would have the person, pick some quality of which one they liked better. So I'd be like, which one looks cooler or which one, looks like they fly faster. I would always just come up with like a random thing. Sometimes I would make noises with them. You can kind of tap on them. I think they're made of styrofoam. I'm not exactly sure what's on the inside, but they're probably styrofoam just because they're not very heavy. And they kind of have that styrofoam sound. So you can make sounds with them. I think they sound pretty cool. And I like the way they look a lot. They're very cool. You can get these at Target. Not sponsored. I assume Target isn't the one making them, but they could be for all I know. I'm not sure, but yeah, they're like $5 at Target. which for a little craft bird, it's not terrible. I mean, still a markup, obviously, but that's capitalism, I guess, right? I've come to the conclusion that capitalism is like this massive scam, but not in the sense of like, there's a lot of people that like really shit on capitalism and say they're like, oh, communism's way better, socialism's way better. It's like, I'm not so sure. I think every system has its flaws. There are pros to capitalism, there are cons to capitalism, and one of the cons that I've just decided is that, no matter who you're buying your things from, it could be a very reputable source. It's still, at the end of the day, going to be way more costly to you than it was to them, just because that's how things are, And I guess that's always going to be the case, but it's like, there's like a level of, there's like this sense of like pointlessness with capitalism where it's like, all of these companies, like reputable brands, they operate on this model of just like being this pointless middleman where like, well, yeah, like you're not doing anything. You're just buying shit from someone and then selling it to me for more money. It's like, I don't know. It's not a novel idea by any means. I'm not the first person who have ever come to this conclusion, but it's just something that I've personally decided. Anyway, so this is Gale, and then this one is Nippy. These were the two original birds. You can decide which one you like best out of these two, out of all four, it doesn't matter. I mean, we could do like a bracket system, head to head. But those are the two original birds. And then we have two other birds that came a little bit later in the videos. This was after I had done the named videos. I'd stopped doing the named videos when these got introduced, I'm pretty sure. But we've got Lyric and we've got Glee. Lyric and Glee. I'm a little bit less familiar with the names of these because they just came way later. I think Lyric looks pretty cool. I mean, Glee looks cool too. I will say that he's probably my least favorite out of all four, personally. I mean, he's cool, the bells are cool, but it's just like, I don't know. I like Gale a lot. I think Gale's probably my favorite. Just a very classy looking bird. Very cool. Arctic. I like the white color scheme and the brown feet. I think all the other ones have like orange feet, which isn't terrible. I don't hate it, but I do prefer the brown feet over the orange feet personally. It's like a burnt orange, a dark orange, which I guess brown is just a very dark orange actually, but still, I like Gale the most, I think. Lyric is also very cool looking. I like the wreath and the holly or whatever that is. I'm not exactly sure, but pretty cool. Pretty cool. Cute and cool. Wow. And then there's Nippy with the puffy coat and the sled and the he's got a little fuzzy on him. I don't know, what would you call this? It's kind of like a boa, I guess, but it's not feathers. I don't know. It's just like a fluffy scarf. And I like the hat too. The hat's pretty cool. I just like them all. They're all cool birds. So if you haven't seen those before, those are the birds. Yeah, they're pretty cool. And we can make sounds with them. Can we combine sounds with them though? I don't know what the point of this really is. I also don't want to damage them. Not that you can't replace them. They're not like one-of-a-kinds or anything. They're very much mass-produced. But these are special to me. The feet have like wire in them, I'm pretty sure. There's something hard in there, which is how they stand up. So yeah, that makes kind of an interesting sound. Ooh, bump the mic a little bit. I hope these sounds are not too soft. especially since I'm doing soft spoken instead of whispered, so that's going to be a little bit louder. Um, we've got the wooden man, though. We can make sounds with the wooden man with the wooden stick. That wood on wood sound. It reminds me of like Lincoln Logs, if you ever played with Lincoln Logs. Lincoln Logs, I didn't play with Lincoln Logs a ton as a kid. We didn't have a ton of Lincoln Logs, although we had a decent amount growing up. And when I say we, I mean me and my family. I'm not disassociative. Me and my imaginary friends. No, me and my siblings, you know. We had a decent amount. I remember we had that Nerf rocket launcher, the red one that you would pump up, and it had like this huge foam rocket. I don't remember what it was called, but I assume they probably haven't made too many Nerf rocket launchers, so if you look up Nerf rocket launcher or had one yourself, then you probably know what I'm talking about. We had one of those, and we would set up these Lincoln log houses, like these Lincoln log skyscrapers, and then we would shoot it with the Nerf rocket and knock them over. And at the time, my brother had a Motorola Razr, which at the time was like it was the phone, you know, like iPhones are like the phone now. Back then it was the Motorola Razr. It had a camera, it had everything. You could go on the internet with it, although at the time that cost extra, so we never did that. I remember if you were using it, there was like an internet button, because, you know, there weren't touchscreens back then, it was all buttons. And so one of the buttons was like, I think it was technically like an AT&T button, but it took you to the internet essentially. And if you pressed that on accident, I remember like frantically trying to get like out of it as quickly as possible because we thought it would like charge money to the account. Probably did. I don't know how that worked back then exactly because I was really young, but we didn't want to risk it. Obviously, we didn't want, you know, our parents to be like, why is there a $300 internet bill on our phone bill? But anyway, he had a Motorola Razr. I didn't just bring that up for no reason. And we would record the videos of, you know, us shooting these Lincoln log houses with the Nerf rocket launcher. And, you know, looking back, I don't think the Motorola Razr had like a very good camera, so it probably didn't have like slow motion or anything. But I want to say that I do remember us watching the videos in slow motion. Like, you know, nowadays your iPhone has like 120 frames per second video and stuff, that it's actually like you can actually slow that down and it looks good. What we were probably doing was just recording in like 30 frames per second and then just watching that back at like 1 frame per second. So it's like pseudo slow motion, you know. But yeah, that was one of the things we did as kids. You gotta come up with just random fun things to do when you're a kid. That's the joy of being a kid, right? I wonder how similar, you know, things kids do nowadays. Because, like, if we had had iPhones as a kid, that would have been crazy. Imagine being able to film, you know, yourself shooting a Lincoln log skyscraper with the foam rocket launcher at 120 frames per second. Dude, we would have loved that. That would have been awesome. You know, I was thinking about it the other day, actually, speaking of kids now and what I did as a kid and stuff like that. And there's a lot of talk lately, I feel like. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of always been a thing, which is maybe another sign in and of itself, but let me get to the point of what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of talk lately about how, you know, there's concern about the young generations that are growing up with all of this technology, like iPhones and iPads and stuff like that, you know. because there's uncertainty about what that does to a person's brain, as it's developing. Because, up until now, it hasn't been a thing that kids had access to. Now, there's always going to be something that the older generations are going to be able to like point to and say like, hey, we didn't have that as kids. So like for me, it was like video games. And then for like my parents' generation, it was bicycles or something. I don't know. Probably not bicycles, but still, they're not that old. The point I'm trying to make is that there's always going to be something that you can complain about. But the point is that arguably this is a little different, because having 100% access to the internet and stuff like that, and just always having something that you can have in your hand to occupy your time and attention, there are questions, I would say legitimate questions, about like, how is kids, attention span going to be affected? Like, is a kid growing up today just going to have like no ability to focus or any, like, just absolutely no imagination? Like, that's the whole concern, right? Is like, when you were a kid before technology, right, you had to have an imagination to make things fun. But now if you can just play Call of Duty mobile on your iPhone for free, you don't really need to have that good of an imagination. At least that's the idea. The whole reason I started talking about this, I was thinking about it the other day, and it's like, it may not be as severe of a problem as people are making it out to seem. I don't know. I think it's probably not great. But I was thinking about it, and it's like, well, there is a difference between, growing up with it and having it like thrust upon you. I would say in my life, I've definitely noticed like a decrease in my attention span and like a decrease in like my memory capacity because of phones and stuff. Like, everyone always mocks boomers for always on that damn phone, like, but I mean, there is, at least I've noticed, like, I have to be honest with myself, and it's like, there are times when I'm like on my phone and then my phone will die. And so I put it down for a second, and then I like a minute later, I pick up my phone to like look at something, and I'm like, oh yeah, my phone's dead. Like, why did I really just try to do, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just fucking crazy. I don't know. Maybe that's not something I can apply to the general population, but it is something that I've noticed in myself where I just, yeah, it's kind of scary in a way. But the thing is like, if you grow up with that, I think it's going to be a little bit different, because it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like, if you try to learn skateboarding as an adult, it's pretty hard. But if you try to learn skateboarding as a kid, it's pretty easy. I mean, it's not like super easy, but you would, in general, you see a trend where kids have an easier time like picking things up. And I think there's a possibility that because kids nowadays have just always had this available to them, that they may be able to like handle it better than maybe like my generation, where it was like, we grew up in like this changing environment where like, when I was really young, in the early 2000s, we had technology, right? We had the internet, we had computers and things. So that was something that was always there, but it wasn't always accessible. You had like your computer lab at school, and that was like your only opportunity to use the computer. And maybe you had like a family computer at home. But other than those things, it was like, you couldn't just use it whenever you wanted, right? And to go from that to just always having it in your pocket at all times, it's like you got to take advantage of it, right? It's like instincts. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but it was just something I was thinking about. I was like, maybe they're not as screwed as we think they might be. Like I said, I still don't think it's great, but I think that's maybe just an aspect of the internet as a whole. I think maybe the internet is just kind of risky to human civilization. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if like human civilization was actually meant to get this far, I feel like there's this desire among human beings to think that like we are owed something, like we are king of the animals, and like to a point where we're not even animals anymore. Like human beings are on another plane of existence, and all the other animals are like below us. But it's like, No, we're still just animals. It's like there's nothing about humans that makes us particularly, you know, like like we're not owed anything, right? Like yes, obviously humans are special in the sense like we got to this point, so like clearly we're different. But it's like I don't know, it's hard to explain my point, I guess. I don't know. It's like you know, I feel like with a lot of things, there is this assumption that if it can be brought into existence, then it should be. Or if it can be brought into existence, then it doesn't pose some threat to like human civilization. But it's like there's no guarantee, right? Like anything that we make could be our demise. It's like, I don't know. I guess it's not worth like fear mongering the internet and like shutting yourself out to everything, but it's something to think about at least. It's something I think about a lot, where it's like, how do we even know that like human civilization can last like this? Because it's only been like this for like in the time scale of like the lives of like an organism. It's like of like a species, a very small portion of time. Like the dinosaurs were around for like 100 million years or longer, billions of years maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a huge, history. Is that even? I guess that's history, but that's probably more like paleontology. I don't know. That's the study of fossils, but that might not be the study of like ancient animals. I don't know. Is that even classified as ancient, or is ancient more like thousands of years ago, not millions of years ago? I don't know. I don't know these things. That's what I'm trying to convey. What am I trying to say? The point I was trying to make, bringing up the dinosaurs, was that the dinosaurs were around for a super long time, and human civilization as it exists right now has only been around for what, like 6,000 years or something like that. I don't know. Obviously it's a little hard to pinpoint exactly when the first like modern human civilization was, but I think it's roughly agreed upon to be like 6,000 to like 4,500 years ago or something. Or no, it's like 4,500 BC, I think, which if you do 4,500 plus 2023, it's like some thousand years ago. So like 6 to 7 thousand years ago, like that's how long human civilization as it exists today has existed. And I mean, that's even like, we're just talking about like creating extremely large tribes and stuff, as it exists exactly in the modern age within like the past 300 years or so. That's only existed for the past 300 years, which is even shorter. So it's like, there's no certainty with any of this stuff, is what I'm trying to say. Humankind isn't owed anything. We can make mistakes, and maybe, things aren't meant to last. I'm not trying to bum anyone out, by the way. I don't know. I just really find these things interesting. It doesn't really, I don't know. It's like an existential threat sort of idea, but I don't really see it that way, I guess, when I think about it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. It's like I fall into the trap of the thing I'm talking about, where it's like, I'm bringing it up, but at the same time, subconsciously, I'm thinking, yeah, there's nothing that's going to fuck up humankind. Like, we're too smart at this point. We're too big. It's like, nothing's going to stop us, right? I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I do wonder. I do wonder. That's all you can do, right? That's all you can do. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the rambling. I haven't been making many sounds. I don't know, when I get lost down a rabbit hole of ideas, I just kind of get lost. Let's do some, I like the sound. I like this sound. Hopefully that doesn't fall over. I like this sound. I've heard people do it with popsicle sticks before. I like that a lot. But like fingernails on like a small piece of wood like this, where it has like that, almost like a hollow sound. It's like a very like thin sound, if that makes sense. but I like that sound. And I feel like it's not done all the time. But I don't know. Honestly, I haven't been watching a lot of ASMR lately. I don't know why. It's just, I don't know. Honestly, I fall into this trap, and maybe you guys do too, I'm not sure, where like, you know, I find this creator that I really like the way they make their videos, the way they make ASMR is like perfect. I love the way they do it. And then within that creator, they have specific videos that I like, you know, where like some of their videos are not perfectly to my preference, right? And so like I'll get into this trap of like only watching those videos from that creator, and I don't branch out at all. And it's like, you know, I'm probably missing out on like a lot of things, but it's like I just don't want to. I don't want to branch out. I don't know. I don't know if it's like a security thing. It doesn't really make a lot of sense because it's like, you know, there's not really a whole lot lost when you try to watch a new video and it ends up not being something you really love, you know? I don't know. I don't know what causes it, but I have noticed that. And I mean, like, I've always had that to an extent where, like, you know, that's kind of always been the way I approach pretty much anything, honestly. But it seems like it's gotten really severe as of late where, like, I really don't branch out with the creators that I watch, so I really only watch, like, a few. So, I don't know. I think that's kind of limited me in what I want to watch. I don't know if anyone else that wears glasses notices this, but my glasses are always like cockeyed a little bit, and it really annoys me. When I first got these, they were perfect, and I think the problem is one of these, it's this one, the left arm. I don't know if you can see this, but it like wiggles. And the other one doesn't do that. It's like, it's solid. But this one wiggles, and it annoys me. Because I want my glasses to sit flat on my face, and I know people probably don't notice, but I notice, and it bothers me. Maybe I could fix it. There's little screws in here. Maybe I could take it apart and put it back together. The thing is, though, is I suck at putting things back together. If there was a job where all you had to do was take things apart, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. I can take anything apart. Clean, dirty, doesn't matter. And by that I mean, like, I can take it apart the way it's meant to be taken apart, or I can just fucking smash the shit, you know? Like, I'm good at both methods. Putting things back together is not my specialty. I suck at that. You know, people take, like, apart watches and things, and there's, like, a fucking million little tiny, like, gears and springs and stuff. Nope. I'd have no chance. Absolutely zero chance of putting that back together. I could take it apart. I could 100% take that apart. I could never in a million years put that back together. It would never happen. Once that watch comes apart, unless you're getting someone else to put it back together, that thing is staying apart for the rest of all eternity. It's not going to happen. I don't know. When it comes to, like, mechanical things like that, I just struggle. I struggle to, like, I don't know. I feel like I can visualize, like, what it's supposed to look like, but it's physically getting it back into every position that it needs to be. That's the part that I struggle with. I don't get how people do that. It's crazy. It doesn't help that a lot of times with mechanical things like that, very often, you know, there's springs and whatever. So, like, everything that you're putting back together is, like, under tension because that's how it operates. You know, it's a mechanical mechanism. Wow. And so, like, it operates on some principle of, like, spring tension or something. So, like, when you're putting things together, you got to, like, hold it down in a specific way while you put in the other pieces. And it's just like, how are you even supposed to do this? I need, like, fucking 10 arms so that I can hold down each of these pieces individually while I put in the other pieces. It's like, I don't know. So that's like a superpower that I don't understand and I don't have. People that work on like cars and stuff. Nope. I don't understand that. It's not quite for me. But anyway, I am getting the flashing icon. This video's been a little longer. I wanted it to be a little bit longer because it has been so long since the last video. I assume we're going to lose quite a few subscribers, and this video probably isn't going to do very well, just because, you know, that's what happens after you don't upload for a while. People forget you exist, and then you show up in their feed, and they're like, who the fuck is this? I'm unsubscribing. Which, I don't blame you. I feel badly that it's been so long, honestly. I really want to make more videos, but it's a struggle. Which hopefully, you know, I hate talking about it at this point, but I'm just trying to explain the situation, that's all. So, sorry. Oh, well, there goes the video. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. Hopefully you've enjoyed the time spent so far. Hopefully you enjoyed my rambles and the few sounds that I made and the reprisal of the birds. If this was your first time seeing the birds, let me know which one was your favorite. There's Glee, there's Lyric, there's Gale, and there's Nippy. So you choose which out of the 4 you like the most. You can rank them 1 to 4 if you wanted to. The world's your oyster. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.